How can I help?
Nothing.
Stand back.
I'm in the groove.
Yeah, you are.
Hey, ready? One, two, three, go!
Good morning, YouTube. Thanks so much for coming by, and welcome to another episode of the Untamed Olive. So today we are merging hives, folks. I have found that my hive is very queenless, and my friend John has found that his third hive is not doing so hot. So through some research and some troubleshooting, we've decided to merge our two hives together. So I thought I'd walk you through the process and show you how we got here. Okay, first things first, we had to bring Ken and John's hive over to my backyard, and as you saw in the first clip, that's what we did. Now I am just smoking them a little bit to calm them down. What we're trying to do is condense these two boxes into one. The hive really hasn't grown too much, so we should be able to shake the bees down into one box that we can add onto my hive. So about a month and a half ago, if you watched my last bee hive update, I found that my hive was quite honey-bound. So John and I extracted some honey in hopes to give the hive more space to lay more eggs. In that moment, I could not find my queen, and then in inspections afterwards, I was still not able to find her. Typically, she's pretty easy to find because she has a giant red dot on her. So I was starting to worry. Wasn't noticing any brood. It was all just capped honey, which this is what they looked like. They're all totally full of honey, which is great, except for you need to have space for eggs to be laid because they need to make it through the winter, right? So in a healthy hive, typically you will have this capped honey, like I said. Also, this is important, brood and eggs. There was no such sign in my hive at all for the last at least month and a half. So I surprisingly didn't have any mites. Nothing else looked out of the ordinary. There was just zero sign of any sort of queen activity. So that's when John took a look and agreed with me. I was doubting myself because I thought maybe I just couldn't identify her. But my queen actually has a giant red dot on her, so she has been easy to spot in the past. Couldn't find her. Like I said, no queen signs of anything. So that's when John and I decided to take his hive that was on the small side but doing pretty all right and add them to my hive to see if they could get along and requeen my hive. So what we're doing here is we are just brushing off frames and condensing everything into one box here. There's, as you can see, the frames that we've taken out, there isn't much activity on there, so we're just getting the bees into the box that has more honeycomb, more honey, more nectar, more brood, ideally. And we're going to fill that box right on up. Just as a little side note tip, if you are having trouble identifying your queen, I wanted to show you a couple images to help you out. The queen typically is a little lighter in color. It is much longer and its wings aren't nearly as long as its torso. My queen, I'll show you an image of her as well, had a nice little red dot on her, so she was quite easy to spot. So that's what kind of tipped me off in the first place. When I started to not see her, I thought something might be up. I probably should have taken action sooner, but I just didn't trust my own eyeballs, I suppose. So trust your instincts. If you think something's up, it probably is. If you're watching your hive on the regular at all, you should be able to notice little nuances that are happening. So that's my tip for you. Trust your eyes and take action sooner than later, because it could snowball into something crazy. So like I had said before, we are turning Ken and John's 2 boxes into one. So we're just brushing bees off of frames that don't have much going on. As you can see, the frames that are on the ground, there is hardly any honeycomb on. We're adding all the frames that have a lot of brood, the most of the honey, most of the honeycomb. And then we're just going to brush the excess bees into that box, getting it all into one. And then to merge the hives, it's actually really quite interesting. So what we're going to do is we are going to place John's box. Ooh, look at all those bees. We're going to place his box on the bottom of my hive. And then what you do is you take a single piece of newspaper and put that on the top of the hive. And you make about 2 or 3 slits with your hive tool. And then you place the other hive, so my other 2 boxes, on top. And what that does is it creates a barrier so the bees can smell each other kind of not as quickly. If you just put one hive on top of the other, they're going to fight, they're going to kill each other. Things won't go over well. But with this barrier, it lets them intermingle slowly, and ideally throughout the week, they're going to slowly chew through these holes in the paper and start to intermingle and hopefully like each other, and even more hopefully my hive will accept John's queen as their queen, and we will have one big healthy hive. So that is the goal. We are also going to, after a week, we'll take a look and see how things are going. I may condense my 2 boxes into 1 box and we'll just have a 2-box hive, or we may keep it as 3 depending on how things look. I do think after a week I will for sure put in some pollen patty and also put in some feed just to give these guys the best chance they can to make it through the winter. If you have any questions on the feed that I use or how I make pollen patties, I've got some videos that I will link below, some beginner beekeeping, how to get your hive started videos. Or if you have any questions, please leave me comments below. I'd be happy to try to answer. Again, I am a beginner, so I may not know, but I can find the answer for you. Or if you have any tips, I would love tips as well. So yeah, we're just going to get this all put back together and give it a week, let them hang out, let them get themselves introduced to each other, and cross our fingers that everything will go according to plan. And that's about all she wrote. It's kind of cool experiment. I hope it works. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that this was informative and hopefully semi-entertaining, and I hope that you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Cheers.